Hey guys.
Hey.
So we're here with Max Feldman, Christian. I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to say it again. I'm gonna start over.
Christian
Ramundos. Perfect.
Cristobalantes.
So we're here, Max Feldman, Mae Corrigan, Christian Ramoudos, and we're here to kind of kick off the Charlie Fun Conversation series by reflecting about Charlie. So all you guys went to University of Miami with Charlie, were, friends of his throughout all of college. Christian, Max, you guys lived with him, so I'd love if, you guys could just reflect for a second on kind of what the experience was like moving into this time of, that usually is pretty untethered for people, kind of carrying this and processing this in your early 20s as you're about to graduate from school.
Yeah, I'm happy to start. So experiencing something like this early changed my perspective on life in a way that beforehand, when I heard someone had passed away or something, obviously I thought that was something that was sad, but didn't really have the emotions that have been through a loss personally myself. So once that happened, and nowadays when I hear a passing of someone, I know there's a whole reaction that follows of family, loved ones that have to go through that very, very painful thing of losing someone early.
When you say when someone loses someone, you're like, I'm sorry. You now get it.
Yeah, I get it. It's on a much deeper level for me. So I guess my answer to that question would be, yeah, I just feel it a lot more in the repercussions of what follows for other people as well.
Yeah.
I would say what's helped me the most in navigating that has been exactly what you acknowledged. The fact that a lot of people don't experience these traumas until later in adulthood.
Or ever.
Exactly. And so acknowledging that challenge and taking yourself out of the moment sometimes, and just simply, as hard as it can be, because the easiest thing to do when you're upset about something or experiencing this is kind of to wallow in that. Just take yourself out of the moment a little bit and just give yourself credit and acknowledgement for experiencing what you're going through, and separating, identification of your emotions from feeling those emotions so deeply and so intensely, has kind of helped in, giving yourself a pat on the back and realizing that things are going to improve, and this isn't, certainly a typical situation.
Mae?
Speaking for myself, I hadn't experienced this process of grief ever, and it's something that has no guidebook or directions. The one benefit of us all being together at school was that you could look to each other and figure out this process together, because every day looks different for someone else, and we were able to work together and kind of start the healing process slowly, and also try to get through school at the same time, which was very difficult.
We talk with the Charlie Fund a lot about vocabulary. And I think, so much of the work that we do is trying to educate people on how to take your experiences and convert them through into vocabulary that you can then use throughout your life. Reflecting on specific words, specific ideas, is there anything that you took from this experience and you said, now I really understand this word, I've added this to my vocabulary?
I would say the word empathy. Experiencing this showed us through the highest stakes possible and the most highly contextual situation possible, how important it is to be understanding of other people, not make assumptions about what's going on inside their head. It really put in perspective that the only perspective that you'll ever view the world through is a product of your own brain, your own thoughts, and your own pair of eyes. And so as we learned through Charlie, looking at this person who was such a ball of energy
all the time,
a testament to, the community we just talked about, He had so many friends, so many people that he touched, everyone being so grateful for his presence that he was constantly reminded of that. And it's something that you would assume that he was always mindful of and embraced himself, but behind the scenes, didn't have that same characterization or had other things going on in his life that were,
you never know. And I think that like that empathy component of it is a really huge foundation of just, it kind of was, you never want it to happen to the person but it is what people say about suicide. It's always the person you least expect. And then you're like, but is it the person you really least expect? Like least expect. And that's kind of what, it's the most extreme version of empathy. And how has that changed the way you navigate relationships and the way you navigate current friendships?
I feel like it's approaching every conversation, any argument with someone, any time that I catch myself not being understanding of someone's feelings, whether it's something toward me or something they're stressed about themselves, rather than, a friend shares, something pressing that's going on or a stressor, and it's something that instinctually you're like, oh, that's not a big deal. I take pause now and realize that, but it could be a big deal to them because you don't know about X, Y, and Z and everything else that could be going on inside their head because you're limited to your own scope. And it forces you to take pause a bit, reframe how you talk to people and reframe how you assess people's feelings. And a lot of mindfulness that comes with that, which I feel like has been productive for relationships.
Yeah. Mae?
I think this whole experience just created a lot of conversations that I had never had before, and just finding the strength to be vulnerable with my friends. And once you are able to do that together, you can just rely on each other in a totally different way. I'm a nurse, and I constantly look at things in a different way because of this. And I think now we experience this all together, and my friends are all across the country, and we're able to check in and just have these vulnerable conversations where it was before, I feel like, very surface level.
I'm really, really interested in that like community thread for you guys. And I'm really interested in what that point was like right before you were going to graduate. Because, that college graduation moment is you're all going your separate ways. Mm-hmm. So this happens in November. You have, 4 or 5 months where everyone is consolidated in the same place still. And then you're about to go, you moved to New York. I think you traveled for a while. Like what, mm-hmm. What was it like knowing we have to carry this thing with us, but now we're about to do it kind of in our own way?
I think initial reaction, a lot of our friends that I was close with that were struggling with this, and including myself, we had the sense of community. We immediately healed together. We're going through that process. And when it was coming time to leave, I think there was a lot of, it was scary for some people, just because they didn't know what was next. We were leaving the community that had been kind of holding us up after this. Definitely excited to move on and kind of leave that environment as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the first emotion towards it was a little bit uneasiness to leave everybody, mixed with a little bit of excitement to leave that environment, but also live our life outside of college and start building that.
Have a fresh start.
Not a fresh start per se, but leaving college and starting the next chapter of our lives and getting to start doing that together. Obviously, my goal and my wish was to be able to do that with Charlie.
Right.
And my plan was to live the rest of my life with him and get to have fun and do all business stuff together, travel together, all that kind of stuff. So being able to have a wider network that we're now, I would say, even closer with after going through all this stuff, and being able to say I'm excited to start building the rest of my life with these people close by.
To the point that Max just made about us all being kind of connected through this, and another testament to Charlie's character and his ability to bond people, and all of us sharing this, these so powerful feelings around him. And with that situation being so profound, it was less about leaving and knowing that we wouldn't physically be together, but having shared that experience. Doesn't matter if Max is on the other side of the world or the other side of the country or in an apartment next door to me. I know that I can call him and always have that bond. And so it really did tighten our community, and it's something that was really impactful to everyone. It's something that we're always going to share, where that definitely takes precedence on any aspect of us physically being together.
Yeah. Mae?
I think it stays with you. I think I struggle the most with like not talking to him every day and having those conversations that I know he would just love to be a part of. Just having people around you that you know are experiencing the same things is the most helpful.
Yeah.
That you can share how you're feeling with them and know that they understand that too.
How has this experience impacted your own self-awareness and your own relationship with your mental health?
It's forced me to strike a lot of balance, and it's a hard balance to strike, but balance between acknowledgement of your feelings and allowing yourself the chance to work through these traumas versus getting dragged by them. It's extremely easy to fixate on these emotions and feelings when you're experiencing them, but it's also important to take a step back, give yourself that credit, and understand that you're going to grow around trauma, and the feelings that you're feeling now are temporary, although they'll always be carried with you. Your mental state can improve from where you are currently. There's a quote from Charlie Munger that really stands out to me that I'm going to very aggressively paraphrase, and that self-pity is very close to paranoia and is not going to improve a situation. And he views the best attitude to be that every mischance in life is an opportunity to behave well. And every mischance in life is an opportunity not to immerse yourself in those feelings, but to leverage those learnings and see it as your duty to change the way that you view things moving forward and make an impact on the world around you.
You view this as your, this can change my perspective for the positive.
Well, and that's what you're seeing now on, through these cameras with the Charlie Fund and all of the ways the Charlie Fund has impacted different schools and organizations and is, teaching young people how to be mindful of their feelings. It's exhibited through the way that we now treat our relationships differently and, the lessons that we're going to carry forward. Given the remarkable person that Charlie was, it would be the easiest thing in the world to do, to be upset all day around that. But how much more commendable and powerful is it to leverage that and say, how can I take what I learned to make sure that this doesn't happen again in my community? And then if we do a good enough job at educating and talking around that, communities outside of our own, and make this, put a pervasive stop to this.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said a lot about, it's an opportunity to behave well. And I think in these moments, you can look at it and say, yes, it would be very easy to wallow given who Charlie was, but it's also equally easy to then take all of that energy and try to push it forward. And I think there's relief and responsibility in that way. And because of who Charlie was, there's an opportunity for all of us to kind of keep that thing moving forward.
Being fixated on the negative aspects of this situation has limited ceiling in terms of reward,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what happened. And so how do we increase that ceiling and make change from it?
I think before we wrap up, I want to do an abbreviated version of favorite Charlie story. If you guys got one, whatever pops to head first. I know you've got a lot. You've got to cycle through quite a Rolodex there.
Yeah, give me some time on that one. I would be okay with going with the route of explaining who he was to people that
Please, by all means.
So, obviously, trying to describe who Charlie was to anybody new that didn't know him is
impossible.
He was the most generous person I will ever meet, followed up by a story of in the Bahamas when they got hit by that horrible hurricane. He was one of the first people that got a plane and loaded it up with goods and flew it over there and went there and passed everything out to people. So that was a testament of who he was really on the biggest level possible.
Yeah, he rounded up a bunch of people. I remember that was, he went with Jeff,
Yep.
and with family members.
Flew a plane full of goods to the people there just to help out. So he was always for the greater good. And once I explained that to them, I mentioned that as of right now, Charlie was the best person I will ever meet. Who knows if someone comes through my life and can top that, I'm not sure. But that is, when I say that, I say it with a smile on my face. It's also extremely sad that something like this can happen to someone that great. So I say that with a smile and a lot of sadness that as of right now, how I feel is he's the best person I'll ever meet.
There's a lot of duality in that.
Yeah.
And being able to, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Graham?
You have this idea in your head of this golden standard of what a friend is in regard to how they care about you, how they communicate with you, what they would do for you. Charlie took that idealistic version of a friend and multiplied it by 10
To the craziest degree at every opportunity.
proportions that you really cannot put into words.
Comical proportion. Like, you were like, is he doing this as a joke or is he doing this on purpose? You're like, what? Like,
In your first X amount of months of knowing Charlie, you're questioning if he's a
you're
real
like, what
person.
you're like, is this a bit? You're like, what is going on?
You want to talk about the box prank maybe?
Oh my God, the
Yes.
box prank
Yeah.
is
That's
the box
the
prank is
first
awesome.
day we met him.
The box prank is awesome.
You wanna-
You guys were
you-
there.
he-
I've only heard about it. You were the victim.
He
To
participated.
finish that first thought, to the tune of how great of a friend Charlie is and the millions of ways that he's willing to be there for you, one that sticks out to me is that Charlie was looking for a summer job. And speaking to his expansive network, all the people that he touched, all the people that loved him so deeply, Charlie could talk his way into anywhere.
Any
You know,
any job.
the world was his oyster and he had the capacity to do anything he wanted to do. And he very excitedly came to me one day as if he just,
Discovered like the key to free energy. Like,
exactly. He says, Graham, I figured it out. I want to be a hotel doorman.
I remember this so vividly.
And it sounded so preposterous, but when you sit back and think about it, it would be a great job for Charlie.
Yeah.
Because that's what a doorman is. They aren't standing outside of a hotel all day, holding an opening and closing a door, but they're assisting the people around them always. They're a friendly face that greets you to start their morning. That's who Charlie always was to us, willing to help in any capacity. However, if it meant that it was going to make you feel good and feel valued as a friend. And then speaking just to his goofy nature, the first time that I ever met Charlie was
This is the box prank.
a random knock on my freshman year dorm room door, and
Move-in day, right?
just about, maybe within a couple of days. And so I was still in that space of seeing him from afar and saying, is this person real?
Yes.
Such an anomaly. And again, very excitedly approaches me, introduces himself, and he has a massive empty cardboard box. And I don't think he posed it as a question. I think he posed it as a demand, but it was, you're going to come with me to this elevator right now. You're going to operate the buttons and act natural. I'm going to stay in this box and pop out and scare people. And I took a pause and I was like, it's a little
Sounds dicey.
It's a little strange. It's probably not the best way to make friends on our third day of college. But I saw how excited he was about this, and I didn't have
Why not? Yeah.
didn't have the heart to turn him down. And him jumping out of that box and getting his reactions and
Someone tried to fight him, right?
seeing people's distaste all of this immediately built up my love for him and showed me what a genuine person he was, and just
The demand really resonates.
Well, also,
The demand is how he phrased
if
everything.
you think about it, you're just starting college. Everyone's kind of a little nervous about meeting people, and I guess it's kind of his way of getting people out of their comfort zones just to have a laugh and get to know each other in the same building.
May,
I was lucky to meet Charlie freshman year through Max and then through that cram. And I think he's the type of person that he would take offense if you called an Uber home from the airport and didn't reach out. Things like that, where if you had a rough day and you mention it a couple days later, he's like, what's going on? Like, let's go get ice cream and talk about it. He, even when I had things going on at home with my family, would pick me up and get groceries for my apartment for the week. That's like the kind of friend that he was, that just came so easy to him. And just those acts of generosity were just his baseline, his everyday. So I try to take that forward with me.
Thank you guys for doing this. Love y'all.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you coming out here and doing it.
Love you.
Yeah, love you as well. Charlie Fund.
Yeah, I love seeing every day just the things that are happening with the Charlie Fund.
These lovely folks.
Yeah, and hearing from Shelly, like the conversations in schools
Oh my
with
God,
young kids is just amazing.
Hearing from Shelly is quite a dynamic in it.
Yeah.
He's the most remarkable person, so I feel like anything that isn't this is doing a disservice to how much he touched everyone that he touched. And, the fact that we truly can tap into that, recognize how good he made us feel, and try to pass that on to others for the rest of our lives.
Yes, sir. Sweet. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.